We talked to the North Korean expert from the Peterson Institute for International Economics to get his reaction. He offered one possible reason for the execution. Listen to this.
Well, this is a stunning development. I've been following North Korea for 20 years, and I do not remember them ever publicly announcing the execution of a senior leader. You hear rumors about it, but this theatrical arrest earlier in the week and now this execution are unprecedented.
What message does the regime want to send?
Well, the regime, I think, is trying to intimidate anyone that might have independent ideas or harbor any ambitions. But there's one complication that really affects how we interpret this. There's a rumor going around that one of Jong's aides, and possibly two of his aides, managed to flee the country. And they are reportedly in China under South Korean protection. It's been rumored that they took out of the country documents with the bank accounts and basically the financial flows of the regime. And then in the last 24 hours, rumors have emerged that they not only are carrying those kind of documents, but possibly documents relating to the nuclear program as well. If the story about the aides is not correct, if it's simply a fabrication, then we have a situation where they've taken out one very powerful man and another powerful man will succeed him, and it's not clear that the development has any real implication for policy in the long run. If the stories about the aides are true or approximately true, this could shake the regime.
Looking at this story and what it means, if you're in South Korea tonight, what are you thinking? The South Koreans obviously are constantly trying to engage with some of those very key people in North Korea to find out what is going on inside the regime, and they are not at all shy about wanting to embarrass this young leader.
Well, I think if you're in South Korea tonight, you're very nervous because this really is a kind of unprecedented development, and one doesn't really know what it means for the stability of the regime. The other thing is Jong was pretty well traveled. He had been managing, in essence, the China portfolio up until about a year ago. He was also someone the South Koreans were used to doing business with. Now, again, it may be that he is replaced, and people in China and people in South Korea learn to do business with his successor. But in the short run, at least tonight, if I'm in South Korea, I'm very nervous.
What does this tell us? What does this tell us about the regime itself? You know, there has been debate during the entire flare-up when Kim Jong-un was threatening the world. Some people thinking he had gone too far. Some people thinking he wasn't going to be able to carry through on any of this, which indeed he did not. But it seemed that there was some dissatisfaction with the regime with the way that things were going.
Well, the thing about North Korea, it's a very personalist regime. Everything centers around the #1 leader. And it's also a very strange regime. There are three principal institutions, the government, the party, and the military. And you have a kind of interlocking directorate where a guy like Jong had positions in all three of those institutions. And indeed, the Bill of Particulars that has been released in Korean, at least, that's what he's accused of, using these multiple positions to actually plan to overthrow the government. Now, I have no idea if this is true or not. What I think is really critical is whether the story about the aides fleeing to China is true or not. We don't know if those aides, if that is a true story, we don't know if those aides fled because their boss had been arrested and two of their colleagues had been executed, so they just ran, or if it was them defecting with these critical regime materials which provoked the crackdown on Jong and the others. So I think we can't say tonight what this really means for this regime.
There could be, you know, as you described that, there could have been almost a blackmail scheme, you know, that these documents could be released until and unless you did X, Y, or Z. As you say, we have to wait and see how all of that shakes out. But let me ask you this. Who's the source of the rumors? What is the source and how credible is it?
Well, you know, normally with all things North Korean are opaque, and normally you have to discount these rumors. The problem is the rumors over the last week have been coming true. It was rumored that Jong Sung-taek had been executed about 24 to 48 hours ago, and now it's been announced that he has. So I would give the rumors a little more credence than I normally would, simply because they're coming hot and heavy. And the story is that he's somehow under the protection of North South Korea, but in China. Whether they've managed to spirit him out, whether the Chinese have had contact with him, whether the Americans have had contact with this individual or two individuals, these are all unknown. But the rumor mill seems to be working in the sense of generating things that are actually happening over the last week or so.